Welcome to this morning's session, which is entitled Branded Content in the Marketing Mix. I'd like to thank you all for coming and also thank Ogilvy, the creative agency which has sponsored the branded entertainment track for 6 years. Those of you who were at yesterday's sessions will have a good idea by now of what branded content looks like if it's done well. There were some great pieces of work from Cartier, Heineken, Specsavers and Perrier, among others. And the day ended with Coke's toe-tapping vision from now through till 2020. So the purpose of this panel isn't to get the show reel out again. Instead, we're going to focus more on the operational issues involved in making branded entertainment work. During the next hour, we're going to look at issues from both the producer-distributor perspective and also the brand perspective. But if you have a specific point you want to raise, then feel free to tweet us in session and we'll do our best to answer your questions. We'll also hold back 10 or 15 minutes at the end for questions. So my name is Andy Fry. I work with the MIPTV News and I'm your moderator. And our speakers from the far end are Chet Fenster, who is Managing Partner of MEC Entertainment, Patou Nuyteman, who is Chief Digital Officer of Ogilvy in EMEA, Birgit Becker, who is Marketing and Communications Manager at Nestle, and Evan Shapiro, who is President, IFC TV and Sundance Channel. So can I ask you just to give them a brief round of applause to say thank you for... And now, can you still hear me okay? Is my mic? Okay. So we're going to start from the far end with Chet. Chet, can you start by telling us just a little bit about what MEC Entertainment does? Sure. And then once you've done that, maybe a little bit about why brands should be in branded entertainment.
Sure. So I head up the content creation division of MEC, the global planning, communication planning and implementation agency. If people are broadcasters out there, they're probably familiar with it. We're part of Group M, and I'm part of Group M Entertainment, so people might be familiar with that. And my job is to help brands navigate the entertainment space. That's build entertainment strategy and work with broadcasters and partners in everything from integrations and derivative content to actually creating original IP for those brands. The reason I think that so many people are in it and the reason that I have a job and there's this entire industry is that branded entertainment is really effective at helping build brands. It helps the clients tell their own stories. It helps them extol benefits of their products. It helps change perception, and it builds engagement with the consumer.
So having done all those storytelling elements, what can a brand then go on to do? Can it move product? What kind of things can it then get off the back of that? Sure.
I think it depends on what the brand goals are. Bless you. What the brand goals are from the beginning. But it absolutely can. I mean, it depends on. I think it depends on what it is. If is someone, if you use Coca-Cola as an example, someone going to see a piece of content and then that minute go online and buy a can of Coke. No, that's not the intent. But is it going to change the way that people think about that brand? Absolutely. But so it's really case by case, but absolutely.
And there are these great examples now of brands which are on TV one night and by the next day they can be in store selling off the back of the branded entertainment. So it's a very direct relationship, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, I think you have an example for us. So if we could run Chet's video and then we'll explore what that's about.
Here's the kitchen. It's broken.
It's ugly.
The storage is an issue here.
Food gets caught in the grooves.
I'm a chef. I know layouts. I know motion in a kitchen when I see it.
What do you think about these?
I love the mini one.
Perfect.
Are you for real?
That is sweet.
So why did you choose that one?
So I chose that one for a couple of reasons, because we're at MIP, but that's a really good example of how powerful branded entertainment can be, and also how you can tell a story for, in that case, IKEA, that you couldn't tell in a 30-second ad or a billboard or a magazine print ad. And IKEA wanted to tell the world about how well their kitchens are made, all the options that a consumer has, and all the features that one can put in the kitchens. Everything from no slam doors to light up drawers, and that's a very, very hard thing to talk about. They also wanted the kitchens to target higher end clientele that might not have considered IKEA for a kitchen makeover. So we created this television show for A&E in the U.S. It just finished its second season, and now we're rolling it out around the world. It's now we just started shooting. Well, I know we just started shooting. It premieres in a couple of weeks in the Netherlands. We partnered with Telegraph Media there. The brand came along, and so we've now made that show in a different territory and hope to take it to even more territories.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday when we were planning the session. It's an interesting development. Do you see that being a possibility for lots of branded entertainment, the ability to take it as a format into new markets?
Well, I think a good show is a good show, right? So, and for the producers in the audience, what they know is that they have to serve the audience first. This is not about making a long-form commercial. So what I talked about for the intent for IKEA and the benefits for IKEA are all there, but the number one priority, and Evan will attest to this, is telling a compelling story and serving the audience. If you're not giving the audience something of value, in this case entertainment, tips on home remodeling, and a fun show, then you've failed at stage one.
A final question before we move further down the line. If I was a format exec in the audience now with a proven format, something that has already done a job, could I come to you and say, can this be retrofitted around a brand, or do you always start from something brand new?
No, absolutely. In fact, when I first started 6 years ago, the first project that I made was a format. And we're in a way we were in the same position that producers are in when they walk into a network. Networks want something that is proven, that can mitigate their risks. So having a format that's done well and has a good proof of concept from another country is good. Is good not only for selling a broadcaster, for also selling a brand. So we were able to do that. We were able to find a great format that we thought was perfect for one of our brands, redevelop it, and then walk into a network with a pretty compelling package to say, we're going to bring you this hit show from another country. You're going to have a tremendous marketing partner, and we're going to be able to, in that case, deficit a little bit of the show to make it a more expensive show than the network could normally afford.
Yeah, thanks, Chet. We'll come back to you in a little while. Patou, you're our digital expert. Now, yesterday in rehearsal, Patou was telling me off a few times because I was a little bit dismissive about the inherent value of brand awareness. So just start by telling us about brand awareness through branded entertainment. Why is brand awareness through branded entertainment any different from brand awareness through a TV ad or a magazine page?
Well, first, I think Chet already talked about that. Obviously, advertising agencies had to practice for a very long time to tell a brand story in 30 seconds. That's a really fine art, and I'm sure that the audience would agree that most commercials actually don't do that job very well, but there's a few award-winning ones that actually do that job very good. But now, imagine if you would invent brand building and advertising actually in today's age. You don't have to be limited by that format anymore. You can tell that story absolutely long form. And yes, many brands still have the need to actually build awareness for either a new product or for their brand. So to be able to do that through a long-form piece of content actually allows them to tell that story so much better. Then also, I think in today's kind of digital and social age, what's the great advantage here is that we don't have to buy, eyeballs anymore. If we have a great piece of content, people actually will obviously share and talk about that. And that's important because people believe each other much more than they actually believe, the commercial agenda of a brand. So that opportunity of, everybody knows this, of not just paid media but earned media makes it kind of, a really great advantage of today's kind of branding. And that's why for us, actually, branded entertainment is something that is really key to the transformation of our ad agencies. Ogilvy's got many great ad agencies who absolutely sometimes called above-the-line agencies. We would love all of them to do way more kind of branded content and branded entertainment, because that's really what their business and opportunity today is a lot about.
We'll drill down into some of those issues in a moment, but first, should we play your tape? And then can we have Patou's video, please?
And this is a tape from last year. Maybe some of you have seen it, but I thought we deserved a smile, so have a look.
Bah, c'est juste la galère.
C'est épouvantable.
Ouais, c'est l'enfer.
Un loueur fait dans la blague potache. L'un des leaders de la location courte durée a piégé d'innocents automobilistes.
Une pub sous forme de caméra cachée. Ça commence comme ça, regardez, par un gros pétage de plomb.
Merde! C'est moi qui ai creusé ma voiture, je peux vous voir!
Merde! Je rentre comment? Ok, on a perdu une cam, hein, vous êtes d'accord?
Pas vrai, ça? Et qu'est-ce que c'est que ce bordel?
Mais c'est bon, je prends ma voiture.
Mais je fais comment? Moi, j'ai plus de voiture!
C'était ça votre voiture?
Oui, c'était ça ma voiture! Il y a tout à l'intérieur! Je fais comment? J'ai tout à l'intérieur!
Merde! Merde! Quoi ce merdier là? Putain! Putain de merde!
Vous inquiétez pas, c'est pas grave.
Non mais c'est pas grave. Mais attends, et comment je vais rentrer chez moi?
Ah, ça, j'en ai pas la moindre idée, madame, parce que là, ça va pas rouler. Hein.
On va me la rembourser, ma bagnole!
Bah, il y a la prime à la casse, je pense.
Mais quelle prime à la caisse? Elle était quasi mais elle avait rien, cette voiture! Ça va pas ou quoi?
Autorité réglementaire pour l'équilibre automobile. J'écoute.
Oui, c'est quoi ça? J'ai un avis de compression de ma voiture.
Votre véhicule rentrait dans le plan de réduction du parc automobile.
Mais pourquoi? Mais on m'a pas prévenu!
Calmez-vous, monsieur, calmez-vous.
Mais non, je me calme pas! J'ai besoin de ma voiture! Je dois repartir chez moi, comment je fais?
Votre véhicule rentrait dans le plan de réduction du parc automobile français, vous entendez?
Mais quel plan de réduction? Putain, c'est ma caisse, j'ai que ça, bordel! Elle a 14 balais, elle est peut-être vieille, mais je roule la veille, bordel! Comment je fais pour rentrer? Je suis tout seul, là! Puis il y a des tas de connards qui me regardent, là! J'ai rien faire!
J'ai une voiture, elle est toute neuve, elle vaut un certain prix, vous n'avez aucun droit de me la détruire, non mais je rêve! Non mais attendez, il faut arrêter de me parler. Où vous êtes? Je peux vous voir? Vous venez, vous détruisez ma voiture, je peux vous voir?
Vous n'avez qu'à louer une voiture, c'est devenu hyper simple. Puis franchement, votre voiture, vous n'avez pas vraiment besoin. Surtout une voiture rouge, c'est tellement années 80.
Ça va pas la tête, mais je peux plus lui parler à elle. Mais non, mais ça va pas la tête, elle me raconte des conneries. Je rentre comment?
Bah bien, c'était une caméra cachée.
Non, bien joué, franchement bien.
Caméra cachée pour Auto-Liberté d'Europe, car on sourit, on est là, on est fort.
Objectif de cette campagne très décalée et drôle, promouvoir une formule de mobilité qui propose de louer une voiture pas chère en fonction de ses besoins, sans subir les coûts d'entretien, etc. Bref, le plaisir de l'auto sans les contraintes du propriétaire.
I've probably seen it about 100 times and it still makes me smile. Maybe that's the French going crazy in there. Sorry for the French in the audience. But it's, I think, a good example of actually, by the way, tiny budget had to kind of really make people aware and consider a new rental service from Europcar. And how to do that, you know, we actually didn't have enough money to even buy sufficient above the line. So, and that was good because it forced us to actually find another type of solution. Clearly not a long form format or something like that, but content to make people talk. Some smart integration with a media sponsorship that made people more aware of what was going on, and you see the results at the end. Even without actually really working on a lot of engagement to make people participate more, or a lot of drive to store, or basically to the rental offices, still that actually really did its job. So that is just branding or an advertising campaign in the 21st century.
Yeah. Do you want to move straight to your slide and talk a little bit more by using the slide as a guide through so this is really...
Well, this is a little preview of what we'll be launching actually in an hour. Our branded entertainment assessment model. After having been here for kind of many years, we realized that we still have a hard time actually convincing brands to kind of really move some budget into this space. And it has to do a lot of with measurement. They don't really know how, you know, they'll see the return on investment of something that potentially is maybe more expensive, or they'll certainly perceive as potentially more expensive. So basically what we try to do with our assessment model is demonstrate that the program objectives can be one of these three, which is either reach, awareness and preference, real preference, kind of perception, consideration building, or action, which is real about driving sales or other kind of real action drivers for brands. And how we actually do that then through the program or whatever we're going to create is, well, reach, we kind of find exposure is something that we really then have to work hard at. So that's making sure that we get both the paid media, the earned media kind of going, and we have to really work on those mechanics. If we think about preference, then it's really about looking at both the entertainment value of the content that we create, because people will have to want to watch it. So I think this worry about not looking after the editorial quality of content, we know that things won't work if the quality of the content isn't great. But also looking for more engagement techniques such as voting or interaction or contributing recipes, or maybe in the case of IKEA, tips on how to kind of, you know, decorate your house and things like that. And then finally, if you really want to, if your program objective is really about sales, then, well, we put more things in there that really drive that. One of the great, obviously, advantages of the digital age, and hence branding or advertising in the digital age, is that you can build the database. Whether the program is happening on a television screen and people can interact on mobiles, or it's happening actually on a digital platform, a database can be built. That means an ongoing conversation can be done. You can actually ask people. I mean, remember BMW Films, which was one of the first kind of great examples, I think, where a brand significantly moved their budgets into real production quality. You know, the only thing they actually did at the end is say, share this with a friend, and I believe 96% of people did. And then there was a little box that said, do you want more information about BMW? And 60% of the millions of people actually ticked that box. Well, that is just a tremendous way to permission-based actually reach out to people and talk about the BMW. And that's worth a lot of, you know, kind of value for brands. So by actually, I mean, these are kind of obvious things, I suppose. We kind of know reach, preference, and action or sales that we're kind of trying to perceive. But by really thinking through how you do that and being able to then to put the measures in place, we're hoping that we can convince brands more to kind of be less afraid of trying something out in this space.
And there is that important point in there, which is that branded entertainment doesn't necessarily need to be about product integration. It can be about audience. Yep. And the stuff that goes on around the content. So you can have a great piece of content which builds a database.
Yes, it can be a lot about brand building, actually, or actually in a very smart way. I don't know if people saw, I really like that example as well from a Deluxe, actually yesterday during the screening, which is a paint, basically, product. Now, that tends to be a low involvement product, so you kind of go like, oh, well, I'm not really sure how to do anything there. Well, the idea was just go and paint off some buildings and houses in all kinds of places in the world, to support the brand promise of Deluxe, which is bring color to people's lives. And not only did they show the product, but actually really made that brand expression come to life and have people watch something that was kind of really interesting with a lot of success. So yes, product integration, it doesn't necessarily need to always be that obvious. I think also in Chet's example, I mean, that's smart. I mean, so many home shows are now there on television. You know, Sears did it as the first, you know, just show a house with some great furniture in there and it creates desire for those products. So if you then are smart about activating that in store, then you'll certainly help those sales results coming in.
Patou, a final question for you before we come on to Birgit. Just in terms of branded entertainment's role within the mix, does it replace other mechanics, marketing mechanics, or does it complement them?
I think in a first instance it's a complement. It's seen as another channel and another tactic. But I do dream, I think, a little bit about the fact that that brands are going to take this at heart much more strategically, in a sense of potentially really saying, you know, today I think branded entertainment is often used when we get a campaign brief. But what I would love to see, and some of our clients are already there, is actually say, we have a brand platform, we need content properties, and we'll activate those throughout the year through programs, through campaigns, so that that mind shift of actually saying, I can tell, I don't need to wait for a campaign brief to actually kind of say, oh, maybe branded entertainment is the solution. Great content is something that I really need in my treasure chest of, you know, the weapons that I need to do my marketing, and I can then activate that throughout the year in all kinds of different ways. So that more strategic kind of knowledge of or strategic acceptance of the importance of creating content that's going to engage your audiences. You know, I think we'll have to wait still a few years when that before that becomes mainstream, but that's certainly what we hope for.
Of course, Chet, yeah.
For a moment, hello. Just to build on that for a moment, if you just think about social media and you think about how many subscribers brands have to their feeds, right? So whether it's Facebook like, Twitter subscribers, they're pushing out daily messages that can't all be about the products. It can't be about deals. It has to be about lifestyle. So brands are broadcasters, and that'll be very apparent when you start talking, and they're going to have to figure out how to talk to the consumer and program to the consumer. And so they're going to either create that, or they're going to need someone else to create it, and they're probably going to aggregate it just like a network. So I don't think it's going to put Evan or any of the other broadcasters out of business, but I do think that once they have these developed channels or networks, you know, network of subscribers, they need to program to them.
I think this notion of being able to own an audience and not always be forced to rent it is very, very kind of, you know, tempting. We have to acknowledge that brands don't necessarily know how to do that. You know, they have for years rented audiences. Actually, really owning them and then taking care of them throughout the year is not easy. But that's where content actually can play critical.
You don't like owning anything, cars, audiences.
It's an interesting point because Ogilvy have talked a lot about ownership and rental over the last couple of days, and I was thinking about this as a homeowner. Just how home ownership comes with so many responsibilities, and sometimes rental is a more attractive option because you can get a better location and so on. And it is an analogy to TV, isn't it? Which is that if you go into ownership, then it's a big responsibility. You're going to have to keep budget, you're going to have to keep teams, because if you get it wrong, you probably would have been better off renting. So,
and that's the modern day television. That's where we started in the 50s of owning it, and it made more sense to rent it, and we'll see what happens once you own your channel.
Yeah.
Or maybe the channels will be rented out or managed by the people that do that for a living.
Yeah. Okay. So I think a couple of the key messages came up there. But tell us a bit about the Bear. Tell us his history, his significance to you as a brand, and why you've done this.
Voilà. You may have guessed that the blue bear represents Nestle baby food, and he was created more than 40 years ago, but we used him on packaging, then later on in CRM, but it was in fact underused. And whenever we had an agency there, a packaging design agency or marketing guys, they said, "Hey, you have this fantastic blue bear, why don't you do more with it?" But we first had to convince people that there is a huge potential. So we said, why don't we create a 3D that is more lively? And we had this animation house that Ogilvy Entertainment had recommended us, The Mill, who created this 3D character. We have not launched it yet, so it's really, it's brand new. We have created a character Bible, and that was necessary because this little character was used by our markets, and everybody thought he could shape it a little bit. So we have seen him playing the medical doctor. He was giving the nutritional advice to mothers. Other markets in Middle East region, they put him on, how do you say, the shake clothes. We have also seen him as the Father Christmas for a promotional campaign. Or my colleagues in Asia found he should have eyebrows to look more intelligent. So with this character Bible that we have created, we want to standardize this character. It is one character in the world. And we wanted to give him a specific role, a character, a look and feel that is not changeable, because we believe then the impact will be even higher. And what I found interesting is that even the pressure comes from the mums on our Facebook pages. Mums now request, "Oh, please, can we talk to the blue bear?" They want to talk to the blue bear rather than to a faceless logo or a faceless company page. So they really request the blue bear to talk to them. Well, we are not sure if how we will do it. We need to first have a look on it, a more strategic look, as you say. But I found it interesting that it was even the mums that woke us up and saying, "Oh, please."
So that is a possibility that we could see the bear eventually talking to the customers. You know, maybe not through a voice, but perhaps through Facebook or something. He could become a serious ambassador for you.
Yes, we could imagine see him in social media like Facebook. Yeah. We could also, of course, use him in gaming. Because he's not only attractive to mums, he's also very attractive to babies. He makes babies smile. Still, my daughter, she's now 13, but she is absolutely emotionally connected to this blue bear. She had him as a plush when she was a baby, so he has an attractiveness.
An app collecting healthy vegetables and things.
For example, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
This kind of educational. It's a mix of education and entertainment, I would say.
So what would you say were the obstacles in it? Once people started saying this is an underexploited asset, what were the obstacles in getting from there to the bear on the screen? I mean, what were the challenges within the corporate culture at Nestlé?
It's the belief in a potential, in something new, like branded entertainment, that Nestle is rather a functional, a technical company, very conservative. So it's a new area, but I feel now that people are more and more convinced that they should also put some money behind it to use this potential and develop this blue bear from a pure mascot to a branded icon, and maybe even more. Who knows?
So if there were a producer in this room, a preschool producer, and they came to you with a treatment for a show based around the bear, it's not impossible that, or what kind of issues would come up, do you think, for Nestlé if someone came and said, we'd like to make 52 times 10 minutes based around blue bear, and then we'd like to see blue bear slippers and, you know, and so on, a whole rounded program. What do you think the Nestlé response would be to that?
Well, I think there are, whenever we are together with agencies or creative people, there are lots of new ideas coming up, but we need to develop step by step. So yes, this idea of broadcast, I can see it, but not this year and not next year. we need a little bit of time to see.
And producers presumably need to be very, very clear about your brand objectives, your brand insights. They have to make sure whatever they come to you with is completely on brand, don't they?
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. Thanks, Evan.
It's a baby food.
Yeah, I know it's good. It's a nice. I like it. I like it. It'll look good later, afterwards. It might be the quote of the panel. Anyway, it is. Thank you, Birgit. We'll come back in a little while. But Evan, your chance. You've heard the brand guys. So, what do you make of everything that's been said so far from a channel chief perspective?
Well, I guess if brands are considering owning or renting an audience, we consider it an opportunity for them to come and crash on our couch. And what I mean by that is there are times where you want to put your own brand out there and create your own content, and you can do that through a 30-second commercial, you can do that through longer form or long form. But oftentimes, brands do very well by borrowing the brand equity or borrowing the emotional relationship that a network or a program or something like that can bring. And that association, you know, you're walking in, and I'm not using myself as an example, but you're walking in with the coolest kid at the party. So you look at something like what Snapple did inside 30 Rock, where, you know, 30 Rock, they made no bones. This wasn't product integration. This is us shamelessly shilling this product and talking about it and making a joke out of it. And a brand has to have a little bit of courage in order for you to give over that equity. The first piece of branded content that I ever was aware of as a consumer was in, I think, 1981 or 1980 with Reese's Pieces inside E.T. I don't know if anybody here remembers that movie where Henry Thomas, you know, attracts E.T. with the Reese's Pieces. M&M's turned that down. They were offered that opportunity, and in allowing someone else to kind of be inside that movie, they created a competitor. But the idea is that movie, you know, created a deep emotional response from the audience, and Reese's Pieces actually enjoyed the connection to that. So that's what we really do. You know, we created a good show called Iconoclasts on Sundance Channel. We helped Grey Goose create an entertainment company within their brand that they think, you know, they believe moves vodka all around the world. We had to start that way. Both Sundance Channel and IFC were not allowed to take commercials in the earliest days of their existence, and so branded content was, out of necessity, the only way we could do advertising. But what we found, you know, when you're forced to do something, you have to kind of, you know, find a rationale for selling it to a customer. So we came up with measurement tools and things that actually demonstrated that this is a very, very powerful way to communicate with an audience because of the association. People come to us because they like us, and then we can say, hey, this brand is pretty cool too. Look at what we can do together. So we've made long-form documentaries for Levi's. We've done brand integration. We've done, you know, everything all over the gamut, including creating brand new original content for brands, but using the IFC imprimatur to kind of make it cool.
Yeah. So should we run your example and talk about that?
Sure. This is a really good example of somebody crashing on a couch. We had a show called Portlandia, which was pretty popular in its first season. Actually, kind of surprisingly so. We made it. We only made 6 of them. We didn't know how well it was going to do, and it took off. And then Subaru decided in season 2 that they wanted to be associated with the show and the brand of Portlandia. And this is what we did with them.
Go ahead.
You can go.
You don't even have a stop.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go.
No, you first.
You go.
I'm gonna go after you.
Hit the road, Jack.
No, you go.
You go.
No, you go.
You go.
No, you go.
No, you go.
I'm not going until you go.
No, you go.
I'm not gonna go until you go.
No, you go.
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 You go. Oh, you go.
What?
What a riot.
My driver would like you to go first, please.
No, you go.
No, you go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go.
Yum. I've got a lot of sides in here. You go.
Crossword? I'm just kidding. There's no crossword. Go ahead.
You go.
No way. Go ahead.
Go. 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 You go.
You sure? Okay.
on, you go. Okay.
You wanted? No? You go.
No, you just. Okay. You toe.
No, you toe.
No, you toe.
You toe.
No, 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 you toe.
No.
So, you know, at no point do we talk about the car. At no point do we hard sell the car. But they really wanted to be associated with this show because this show takes on kind of hipster mentality and the cool kids. And they really wanted to be associated with the mentality inside the show. But they were really brave. I mean, they didn't tell us what it had to say. They approved that. They were on set, but they approved the thing without, you know, tweaking it in any way, shape, or form. And there's a competing car. Well, Yugo no longer exists, but there was another brand in the shot, and they were totally cool with it. They liked the fact that their car was at the center of the humor. And I don't know how many people do this, but I watch television. I watch my shows specifically with the Twitter feed open to see how the audience is reacting to it. And you know, when you put a brand inside a show like Portlandia, which has a very, very rabid fan base, you worry about what the reaction of the audience was going to be. Not only did the people laugh at this sketch, but they actually said, "Oh, Subaru inside Portlandia, perfect match." And a number of people said that, and that was really great for both them and for us.
I kind of know the answer to this, but are you always completely driven by editorial quality, or would you ever take a slightly less compelling idea because there were big ad dollars attached?
You know, it's very tempting to make the bottom line work, but long term, you have to think about the asset value there, and the value of our network is the relationship with the audience, and the second you taint that, you begin to, you know, lessen the long-term asset value. So we try not to lower our editorial standards in order to take advertising dollars, but you know, we take, you know, DR. So we have to be in business, and I'll tell you, the day we started adding commercials to the network, I heard through social media directly to myself, you know, you're an asshole, you're ruining this network. And at the same time, you know, I think our audience understands that we are in business to make money. We are a corporation. And so, you know, you try not to lower your standards. You try to keep the editorial quality as high as you possibly can, but you don't always control that either.
Do you think we're at a point where branded entertainment feels like it's really properly plugged into the TV system? Is it still a slightly weird, uncomfortable fit, or the kind of good, seamless communication with the guys who do this?
I think it depends on the agency. Obviously, Ogilvy has this pretty well down. You know, they not only, you know, how to make it work on television, but they make it work in events and off channel as well. And then there are people who are awful at it, and you see it. I mean, when you see a bad piece of branded entertainment on television or in a film, it takes you out of the moment. So, you know, and the audience reacts badly, and in fact, you may do more harm than good. So like television, like film, like music, there's good and then there's bad. You know, again, this is way back, I think Chet mentioned this, way back to the beginning days of television, you know, when stars would come out during the commercial break and talk about a product, or, you know, Texaco sponsored. Actually, I Love Lucy, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the opening shot is a heart being drawn, and that's 2 cigarettes. Desi Arnaz sold that to CBS, and he sold it to the tobacco company simultaneously. So this is as old as television. I think it's more necessary now than it's ever been. You know, in the early days, it was necessary because nobody was going to pay for the content other than the brands. Now it's necessary because, you know, while we all love really great television commercials, their usefulness is waning a little bit. It's harder to keep people attached to the show through a commercial break because of DVR technology and online technology. But if you look at something like Hulu, which actually allows the user to actually choose the ads that they want to watch and involves them in the marketing messages, you know, that begins to point to a future where, you know, this all connects seamlessly for the consumer. Branding, programming, entertainment, it all comes into one big stew that you take at once. And I think that's where we may be headed, because the technology forces advertisers to be smarter about how they communicate with the audience.
Final question before we open up again. Do you value the benefits that you as a media owner can get from from the brand's channels to market? I mean, do you piggyback on them through stores and through other kinds of activity?
Yeah, I mean, we did a show with, and strangely enough, they didn't pay for it, but we did a show with Anthropology where we followed the head buyer for Anthropology all around the world, and you know, we were in the stores. Anywhere I went to an Anthropology, and I live with 3 women. 2 of them are my daughters, and you know, they love Anthropology, and everywhere we would go, not only would there be something in the store that marketed the show, but the staff had all watched the show and they talked about it and they were proud of it, and that really helped the Sundance brand at that time. IFC does really well when it you know matches up with brands. We just did a really big program at South by Southwest with Time Warner. Actually, we partnered with Ogilvy there, and they powered the whole, you know, Wi-Fi in place, and it became a place to hang out. And so yeah, I think that a great brand, I can crash on their couch just as much as they can crash on ours.
Okay. Right, all the panels, starting with Birgit. Would you expect branded entertainment to add a lot to the cost of a marketing strategy, or will it come out broadly the same as a traditional marketing strategy? Is this a big extra cost for somebody somewhere? Starting with Birgit and then move over to Chet.
Well, in our case, it's not a big extra cost. It's complementary to what we are doing. As I said, we are very much giving branded nutritional advice, branded recipes, but the emotional part complements it perfectly well. So no, I don't see it as a big cost, at least not for this project.
So Chet, in terms of the money, what's happening in terms of the movement of the money, would you say?
Well, I think it's how the money is being used. So if there were budgets in different areas, now they're connected to that branded entertainment or content experience. So if you think about what Evan talked about, that these things are connected, or there's an ecosystem, so it's more than one-dimensional commercial or one-dimensional piece of content. There are already budgets set up for social media, for digital display, for building websites. So it's not that money is being increased or decreased. They're just directing some of it toward that bigger idea that usually the brand has a piece of ownership in, or that they've borrowed equity in, and so they can promote something that they're attached to. So I assume actually I don't even assume. Did Subaru actually promote any of Portlandia, or did they take the clip and push it out through social media?
They pushed it out through. They were very proud of that, and they ran it on their site, and they ran it in store, and they pushed it out a great deal because they were very proud to be associated with the show. So
right, and for that's just an opportunity cost of running another message, but it probably isn't incremental dollars. For the big stuff, if there's a big idea at a client and it's something that's not budgeted, people tend to find money for big, exciting ideas.
Patou, would you add to that?
We do need a shift of how budgets are structured today. Most of our large clients are organized around a media planning process, so upfront buying of media, which actually then refrains to actually later investment in branded entertainment. So we do hope that we see some, absolutely, there is a big role still for above the line, for renting and all of that stuff. Actually, a lot of that is needed even in support of great branded entertainment. You know, the above the line, the broadcaster participation, the sponsorships, it just gives, you know, it just helps us to kind of reach the audiences. It accelerates what we kind of do in other channels. But it is an issue today that the media planning process that actually has structured, I think, the advertising world for a very long time, holds us up in actually moving some of that budget, which is for renting, into some really great production. And it's just, I think many of our clients are interested, but actually are held up by that process. That's why it's a real shift. So in today's world, I think there are no additional budgets. It has to come from existing budgets. And we do hope for a slight shift from media money to actually production value, just because of the earned media that we actually kind of can get out of that. And still there will be enough work for everybody. So we're not that worried about that. We just kind of hope, we do really see there's a real issue around how budgets currently with most advertisers are structured.
I think the key is measurement. You know, if there can be a tangible accountability for how the money is spent. You know, the weird thing is that with the traditional television commercial, you measure it, but you don't necessarily measure it by its effectiveness. You measure it by its reach. So it's GRPs or TRPs or whatever. And more that a measurable effectiveness, an ROI measurement, is really what the client wants. And so when you can demonstrate through your measurement tool, we actually created one called Messaging Innovation Metric with Nielsen last year, and it measures the effectiveness of whatever campaign you use, whether it's branded entertainment or the 30-second commercial. Then you can move money over. But I mean, if you look at the thing that sticks in my mind, you guys did the Watson thing on Jeopardy. You know, that would, you know, I guess there was money spent on production there to a certain extent, but when Watson was on Jeopardy, that was a week, right? It was for a week. I mean, that was in every newspaper around the world that a computer was playing on Jeopardy and crushing competition. You know, that was brilliant. And I talked about it, my kids talked about it, and suddenly overnight, IBM had completely rebranded itself, which was a pretty amazing thing for a company that was, you know, as staid and stodgy as that. So I think when you can show the effectiveness, when you can measure it and you can give tangible results, that's when you're going to see the money actually move from column A to column B.
The challenge with earned media is that it's not a guarantee. It's kind of this fish, chicken, and an egg kind of. I mean, here I go again with my expressions. I'm the worst person in actually English expressions, so if I kind of really fuddle that up, then you know what I'm doing. But you understand me, chicken and egg. So the branded content quality is needed to kind of get the earned media, but the earned media isn't a guarantee. And that's something that brands don't like. You know, is this really going to work? Well, yes, if you invest. Oh, that's kind of annoying. Because there's also a notion that earned media in today's kind of social world actually just happens automatically, you know, that you actually don't have to pay for that. It's that, you know, the content creation is absolutely important. And so so that's why we kind of need to see that a little bit, that shift of money, and keep on having examples of where it works really well. What helps us, I mean, I saw a comment on Twitter that said, we've been sponsoring this for 6 years and still we have, you know, we're still a lot of clients to kind of convince. It's a big transformation for brands, truly. I mean, it's a big transformation for us as an agency. There's still a lot of people in our business that care about TV commercials, and you kind of go like, oh, you can do long-form content, aren't you happy? You know, you can go for 3-week shoot to Barbados instead of just a week. But we've worked in the same way for such a long time that it is really, and because it comes with new ways of budgeting, new ways of setting up resources, new ways of working. It is a real transformation. What helps us, for example, is things like this, but also Cannes, who's the Cannes Advertising Festival, who's going to have a branded content category, because that recognizes something, that there is a real shift towards those types of solutions. So, you know, we're optimistic. It's going in the good direction. We like it always to be faster, for sure, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think it's also important to remember how to plant those seeds early on. So NYU actually, in the Stern School of Business, has a branded entertainment track. And so, you know, it's going to sound weird, but it starts with the kids. You have to start teaching this discipline at a very early stage to help unlearn the stuff that we've taught ourselves over the years. And when you can get to a media buyer, you can get to a marketer, you know, as they're forming, you know, almost in utero, then then you can really, you know, create an opportunity for people to think outside that box that they keep putting themselves in.
We're down to about our last 7 minutes. I do want to get a couple of questions in a moment, but first, speaking directly to producers, Chet, I mean, if there are producers in the audience, what is the nature of this opportunity? Is there stuff to be made? I mean, how should they perceive you, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both agencies need, and brands, they need producers. They need good storytellers to collaborate with. So there's an absolute opportunity for producers. I think the challenge for producers is that they have to have patience. Brands don't commission shows the same way that networks do. They don't have slots that they have to fill on air. It's not like NBC or where they'll order 100 pilot scripts and then narrow it down to 20 pilots to shoot and then pick up a bunch of series. So it's a slow process. And as there's more volume, as there's more money against it, there'll be more things. So I think that producers just need to meet the people that are doing it, get involved, have patience, and realize that there are fewer opportunities than there are in traditional television commissioning or even in digital, but they're coming, and we're really good partners. That's the other thing.
Yeah. And as a steward for a number of brands, presumably if I walk through the door with an idea that I think is right for brand A in territory X, you might say it would work better for brand B in territory Y, and so that there can be a fluidity about the conversation, I guess.
Absolutely, and there's a company that came to us a couple of years with a format that was a success in another country. They were trying to take it out into in the U.S. It didn't sell, and now we're looking at it for digital. So, but at the time, 4 years ago, there's no way they would have done it in digital. They wouldn't have done it for that amount of money because they had a hit in another country. But now, for the U.S. market, to do it in digital is not a bad thing, and we can be a very good partner for that.
And speaking to distributors, if there are content distributors in the room, in the way that America's Next Top Model is taken as a show and it's sold complete and sold as a format, can they take the rights? Can they work with you and market? Could a Fremantle or an Endemol or somebody, could they do that for your branded content?
Absolutely, and I know that Ogilvy has had that done before with some of the documentaries. So ready-mades are absolutely a part of it. The only caveat on that is sometimes that's not what the brand wants. Yeah. So there are times where the incremental revenue that can be made from exploiting the ready-made or IP internationally is not worth it for the brand to give up the level of control that they want for the distribution outlets. Yeah. But that's a case by case.
We're not used to getting money for advertising, so it's kind of, again, where does that money go? So, I mean, it's just, it's an interesting opportunity again, and it will need collaboration to kind of figure it out.
Okay, let's, does anyone want to ask anything? We've got about 4 minutes left. So it's really hard to see from here, so because of that light. But any? Is that no? Is that? Okay, I'll assume that's no, unless I hear a voice. So in terms of the big game changers for branded entertainment, what's the big game changer? Is it tablets and mobile? Is it gaming? Is it a digital product placement, like those myriad kind of technologies? What would you?
I think social media is really it. I mean, when a consumer can share what they like instantaneously with their entire social graph, so and so is listening to this on Spotify. That's where a good piece of branded content. If you're making long form, or you're making, let's say you made an animated short with Blue Bear, the second you put that up on your Facebook page, when one mom likes it, her entire social graph is going to know that, and that's an endorsement from an audience member. And we all, at least my research always shows that word of mouth is the single most important thing in qualifying entertainment to a community. And the second somebody can say, I like this piece of content, and share it with their social graph, I think that to me is the biggest game changer. Sure.
I'm going to stop you because there's a question over here in the second row. Could you say who you are as well, please? Just.
Yes, my name is Lorenzo De Stefani. I have a small company that develops TV and branded entertainment formats and projects. My question is, usually around a branded entertainment project, there is a community that is being built. Do you think that your role, I'm speaking mainly for agencies in this case, is also to help your clients manage those communities, moderate that community, and maybe also manage the little crisis moment that may appear? Thank you.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, as most of the things that we do today, actually all of them, have a form of interactivity with consumers. So we're kind of really hoping for that and working hard that that happens. This sense of you actually have built an audience and you have to interact and listen and react to what they say and manage the good and the bad, actually. You know, and we're very focused, again, this is thing that brands are very scared about, is the bad. But actually, it's as hard to manage the good and really build on that opportunity. So I think that's what, I mean, a lot, obviously, producers are now very talented in actually making content work harder. That's something that we would kind of probably do together. But then it's kind of really the ongoing story for the brand, the activation of that content across lots of other things that they do, the in-store activation in other campaigns. For example, a program can be leveraged in a CRM program as well. That is obviously where the agency has a unique view, and those are things that we would really uniquely, I think, kind of do. But everything in real collaboration, I mean, this is why we're here, is we absolutely know that there's an entire industry that knows how to do this really, really well. And we look for that shared creativity. We're a creative industry, you're a creative industry. Magic can only happen when all of those ideas come together. And in all of our collaboration, it seems to really work out. There's enough work and budget to share amongst each other.
We've got about 3 seconds left. Final question. Can any brand do branded entertainment? Does it have to be a smart car or a pair of Nikes, or can it be a toilet cleaner or a toilet roll? I mean,
I think every brand can do it. It's about what's true to the brand, what adds value to the consumer, and dimensionalizes the brand. Absolutely.
I think, you know, there's a reason somebody launches a product. There's a passion for that product, and I think if you can get to the root of that passion, that can make a compelling story. So yeah, I think anybody can, as long as they're true to who they are.
So producers need to go looking for that brand insight to really get to the heart of what it is.
Yeah,
and they're good storytellers.
You have to understand what the connection between a consumer and a product is, and whatever that relationship is probably where you're going to find the root for a good piece of branded content.
Great. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your attention and cheers.